reconvening the meeting from November 12th, 2024. Let me close the door here real quick. Welcome back, everyone. Well, or welcome here for the meeting we'll be having after the reconvened meeting. First thing on the agenda is oath of offices. So, Katie, we'll start with newly elected Councilman Jacob Bruns from the 1st Ward. If you'd meet Katie up at the podium. Jacob?
I solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Michigan, and that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of Ward 1 Council Member of the City of Hillsdale to the best of my knowledge and ability, so help me God.
I do. Congratulations, Jacob. Okay, we'll move on to Ward 2, newly elected council member, Councilman Matthew Bentley.
I solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Michigan, and that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of Ward 2 Council Member of the City of Hillsdale to the best of my knowledge and ability, so help me God.
I do. Thank you very much. Okay, we will move on to Ward 3, newly elected council member, Councilman Bob Flynn. Congratulations, Matthew.
I solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Michigan, and that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of Ward 3 Council Member of the City of Hillsdale to the best of my knowledge and ability, so help me God.
I do.
Great. And get your signature here.
Thank you.
You are all set. Thank you.
Congratulations, Bob. And we will move on to Ward 4, re-elected council member, Councilman Robert Soha.
I solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Michigan, and that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of Ward 4 Council Member of the City of Hillsdale to the best of my knowledge and ability, so help me God.
I do.
Get your signature. And you are all set, sir.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Robert. All right, congratulations, new council members. This is going to be interesting for you guys. Okay, before we move on to the mayor pro tem election, I'd like to make a couple comments, especially to the incoming council members, but to the general public as well. First of all, tonight's going to be my last meeting, so I will have my resignation letter on the next agenda. My wife and I are going to make a very spirited effort to get into our new home before Christmas. I think that would save us, it's going to save us quite a bit of money in rent. I think it's the best Christmas present I can give my kids. We're hoping we can make it. We're going to try hard. We might need some help moving, so, but as I said at the last meeting, or the meeting before that, this has been a huge honor for me. To the new council members, this is going to be quite an experience for you guys. It's something else to serve the public. You're going to have to make tough decisions. You guys probably already know that, and you're probably gonna have to make tough decisions right away tonight. And I know what you guys are thinking. You're thinking, you know, my conscience is gonna be my guide, and I'll know what the right decision is to make. But oftentimes, because of the nature of the way council's organized and the way the agenda's organized, the things that are gonna come up in front of you, a lot of times there's not clear direction, there's not a clear indication, and there's not a right answer. A lot of times you've got two bad choices. You got two shit sandwiches, and you have to decide if you want mayonnaise on it or mustard on it. I mean, I'm serious. As somebody that's been up here for 12 years, I've agonized over lots and lots of choices, and it's been plenty of times where I just came up here and flew by the cuff of my pants because, you know, and I'm not afraid to admit that, because both of the options were bad options, but you have to choose one. To the people who are interested in serving as mayor pro tem, as you guys know, tonight's going to be a little bit different. This is never, because of the timing of things, and I want to apologize, because it clearly was my intention to, my wife and I's, our family's intention to, we didn't want to tell anybody anything about purchasing a house until it was all said and done and over with, because obviously anyone that's ever bought a house or tried to buy a house, it can fall apart at the last second. So I didn't want to make an announcement to council and tell them. And then when we decided we were going to make the move, sincerely wanted to wait until after the election and after this meeting was done before I made an announcement. That way everything could go smoothly and it could be smooth sailing and business as usual, and then I could check the whole city. But it's not the way it worked out. You know, some people with their eagerness to gossip in this community blew the whistle on us early. So, but that's life. You make plans and life happens without you. So do you guys, I don't know how many of you are interested, who are interested in serving as mayor pro tem. I just want to tell you a couple things. One thing is that mayor doesn't serve on committees. So if you guys are interested in committee work, that's where the work happens. That's where decisions are made that come before council. This isn't something I'd move forward with. And the reason that the mayor doesn't serve on committees is because I've always felt it was a balance. The mayor makes appointments to committees, and you know, you're going to put yourself on all the committees you want to be on. The way I've always done committees in the past is the council members with the most tenure get their first choice at committees. So if you're new to council, you might be left with scraps, picking up, you know, you learn along the way. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The other thing to keep in mind is when you're in this seat, you lose all plausible deniability. You answer for every decision that's made up here. It doesn't fly with the public that, well, I didn't vote for that. You know, that was council's decision. Public doesn't care. They hold you accountable for whatever decisions are made up here. Whether or not you supported those decisions or not, you speak for the whole city. So, something else I wanted to mention was my whole time that I've been here, it's always been my dream, and I think the dream of the city, that we saw more young families moving to Hillsdale. I always thought that that would be the future of the city of Hillsdale. And that's something that in the past few years that we've seen a lot of, and we've got young guys that just got elected to council. So that tells me we're moving in the right direction. But I also see this kind of like strain in the community that some of these young people that are wanting to get involved are bad and they're right-wing extremists, and
They are.
it's very disheartening for me to see, because these young men that are starting to get involved in government, many that are running for council, that'll run for council in the future, they are the future of this community. So, you know, I think it's a great thing. I want to continue to encourage it, and it means something good for this community when we have young families that want to locate here, raise their children here. And I wish all, you know, this effort to keep young people out of participating and to smear them as extremists. I'm not going to be here, but I hope that stops, because I think it's unproductive, and I think it's unfortunate, and I don't think it's fair, and I think it's inevitable that these are the people who are going to lead this community into the future. So, another thing I want to say is, I've seen, maybe this is a little off topic, but I've seen in this community a number of influential, powerful men. This is a phenomenon. I don't know if it's only something that's happening in Hillsdale or if it's something that's happening all over the country. But with the advent of social media, I've seen a number of powerful, influential men in this community who use naive, impoverished, highly impressionable, over-emotional women to do their dirty work for them online.
Yeah.
I think it's gross. I'm disgusted by it. A man would not do that. That's something a pimp would do. So I hope that's something that stops. And if you think about it, there's a lot of men in this community that do it. There's a lot of men in positions in this community who don't have the balls to say things online, so they have middle-aged, lonely women do it for them. I think it's gross. Finally, last thing I want to say to the people of this town, don't cannibalize this community. This is another thing I see all the time. Hillsdale Hospital is the worst hospital in the world. It's a Band-Aid station. Hillsdale College is evil, it's corrupt, it's bad. All the businesses charge too much money. Everybody's doing something wrong. This is our community. And I don't think that's anything probably that's different about this community than any other community, but don't do that to this community. This is a good community. And thank you. I appreciate my time here as mayor. And we'll move into the mayor pro tem election. All you guys have. Yes, sir.
Can I ask you a question before we vote?
Yeah, we're gonna have an opportunity but go ahead and ask. Yeah.
I just have a question. I'm not sure if it's for you, Mr. Mackey, the lawyer. I don't know who wants to answer it. But as we vote for mayor pro tem, are we voting for somebody to serve out the remainder of your term? Are we voting for somebody to serve until a special election is called by council? I don't know how that works, because mayor's supposed to be an elected position, but I'm not sure how that works.
I think that that's something that council is going to have to make up the decision themselves. The charter says that that vacancies in office are filled until the next regularly scheduled state election. But I've also seen Brian Watkins resign. He was mayor pro tem, and he resigned because he moved out of the community. His seat was filled with a special election. I've seen Emily Stack Davis resign. Her seat was filled with a special election. So I think council's gonna, you guys, not me, you guys are gonna make the decision about how to move forward with that. I'm happy I'm not making the decision.
I just wasn't sure what the legal, if the charter says we have to do it one way or the other.
The charter says you have to do that. A midterm vacancy in the office of mayor is filled at the next regular state election. There is no special election.
Okay, so
for that office.
So they will fill out the remaining 2 years of the mayor, or when would the next state election be?
The next state election would be 2026.
Okay, so they would serve the 2 years as acting mayor.
Yes.
Acting.
Okay,
The mayor pro tem's term runs under the charter until the meeting after the next regular city election, which would be
2 years. Okay, thank you.
2 years from now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you guys are gonna have a 4-4 council. You're gonna have an 8-person council. It can be a beautiful thing, guys. I've served with an 8-person council for a long time. It's lovely. It's a lot of deadlock and a lot of stuff doesn't get done. And in government, that is lovely. So no harsh decisions are made. So yeah. So first thing for the mayor pro tem election is, if anyone is interested, you should speak up now so people know whether or not to vote for you. At which point after, we'll give everyone an opportunity to make a statement if they are interested in it. I think that's the fairest to council. got this sheet up in front of us. When it comes time to finally vote, you will check a name. You're gonna fold it in half like this. They're gonna go to Katie. Katie will come up and collect them from everybody, and then Katie will announce. And if there's more than 2 people that want to run for it, if there's 3, then we still go with the person who has the most votes. If it's 3 people that want to run and it's 3-3-3 and it's a tie, you go back to the table and you vote again. So.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Another silly question.
Nope.
For those in attendance, I ask a lot of questions, so my apologies. So since this is the reconvening of last week's meeting, and then you're saying that you're stepping down at the end of this meeting, are you stepping down at the end of this meeting, or are you stepping down at the end of the meeting to proceed, that follows this one?
Well, the charter says that I'll happily leave after this meeting, believe me.
I'm just curious.
The charter says that council has to accept my resignation. You have to resign in letter form, and then council votes to accept the resignation. And I hope you guys will accept my resignation. I don't want to be up here after tonight. I mean, I do, but I'm moving, and I think it's the best thing for the community that you guys have a contingency plan in place. And also, please know, I am a resource to every person up here. You might not like the way I voted, but I've been up here 12 years. I know a lot about the city. I know a lot about the charter. I know a lot about operations. So if anybody ever needs me for anything, I'm a phone call away. Yes, sir. Yep. Yeah. No, I would love to not do the second meeting, but I think I probably should because you guys haven't accepted my resignation yet. So back to Mayor Pro Tem. If anyone's interested, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Yes, I'm willing to run for that.
Okay. We've got Will. Is anybody else interested?
I'm gonna throw my hat in as well.
We've got Will, we've got Josh. Is anyone else interested? Okay. Will, would you like to make a brief statement to council and tell them why you think that you would be the best person for the position?
Well, simply because I've had experience as Mayor Pro Tem. I've been here since 2016. I think I'm a reasonably level-headed type of person. I can be fair to everybody, and I think I've shown that over the years.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Well, I would agree with that, and make no mistake, if I was going to continue with the remainder of my term, I would be proud to have you as my Mayor Pro Tem for another 2 years. Absolutely. Councilman Palladino?
I'll keep doing what I've been doing, trying to study the ordinances, the charter, the law to make sure that we're in compliance, trying to get the best deals for our citizens, trying to support our city staff, and I'll continue to work with everyone on council.
Very good. Well, this is a really tough decision. Actually, you two are 2 of my favorite people. Both of you have supported me through multiple elections. Both of you have had my back, put signs in your yard for me, contributed to, and that's just on a personal level. I love you both. I love you, Will, and I love you, Josh. You guys, you and Bridget knocked doors with me when Bridget was pregnant for Addie. I don't forget those things. Will, you've been here with me for years through lots of community decisions and controversies, and it's a really tough decision. Does anybody want to say anything else? Speak in favor of somebody? Or are we just going to roll with it?
I agree that, both are excellent candidates, and like you were saying, we've got a lot of young people coming in our community getting involved, and we still have the wisdom of us gray-haired people, and I would strongly recommend Dr. Morrissey, and because Josh is a great student, and Dr. Morrissey is a great teacher, and in a couple years, they'll definitely be more than ready.
Thank you, Greg. Wise words. Anyone else? And my suggestion would be, before you get up, Katie, since whoever wins mayor pro tem will be serving as mayor, since there's only two of you interested, my suggestion would be that the person with the less votes continues as mayor pro tem. So, is that okay with you guys? Or do you guys wanna do a whole new mayor pro tem election after this one's over with? That is up to you guys completely.
Do we have to,
Is that the way it works? I mean, or would the mayor pro tem just be the mayor pro tem until the next mayor is elected?
Well, yeah, they're the mayor pro tem and they aren't the mayor.
Okay.
They in effect sit in the mayor's chair and run the meetings and that sort of thing. Right. And you are still the mayor.
Yes, but,
until you actually resign.
well, so the charter says that the mayor pro tem can't do the mayor pro tem's position, then council has to designate a council member for that position. So maybe I'm getting ahead of myself here.
No, what would happen, what it means by that is, so if the mayor pro tem, for example, can't be at a meeting, won't have somebody who is sitting in the mayor pro tem chair has been designated as the person who's gonna run the meeting.
Okay.
So then the council will designate someone to run the meeting. It'd be much like, on a school board, if the president and the vice president were both absent, the board would select somebody to be in charge of running that particular meeting.
Okay, so when I'm gone, there'll be an acting mayor and no mayor pro tem.
The mayor pro tem would be the acting mayor.
Okay,
Yeah, that's the idea.
They would still be the office of mayor pro tem.
The council seats would all be filled because it's just a mayor pro tem. So I've been the mayor pro tem, but I'm Ward 2 councilman.
Yes.
And so if Josh wins, for example, he would still be a councilman for his ward, Ward 4.
Yes.
Yeah.
all right. Well, however it shakes out, you guys are both excellent council members. I appreciate you both. I appreciate everybody here, so.
And we appreciate you, by the way, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, guys. This is very bittersweet for me to be stepping away. More sweet than bitter. Come on, Katie. Good luck, Will. Good luck, Josh.
Okay, so I'm gonna announce as I do it. So, we have one for Palladino. We have one for Morrissey. We have one for Morrissey. We have two for Morrissey, two for Palladino, three for Palladino, three for Morrissey, four for Morrissey, four for Palladino. We got five for Palladino. Mr. Palladino, you take it.
Congratulations, Josh. Okay, we will move into public comment on non-agenda items. This means public comment on whatever you want. Podium will be open. No, we didn't adjourn last time.
So last time you recessed and then, so you do the public comment now and then adjourn after.
On non-agenda items. Public comment on anything your heart so desires. Podium will now be open. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Please limit your trips to 1 to the podium. And remember, you may speak on anything you like at this time. The podium's now open.
I want to say thank you, Adam, for all the years. You know, I've contacted you a lot. Hallways, parking lots, we've talked a lot over the years. I really appreciate you being there.
Thank you.
Dear new councilmen, I'm Shannon Gaynor. I live in Ward 4. I welcome you to be our new representatives. I assume you ran for city office to make a difference in our community. By running for city office, us people have put our trust in you to do what's right for the town. One of my biggest issues that you'll hear me a lot talk about is our special assessments to our streets. I'm against the special assessments. I'm against asking our community to pay up to $5,000 to fix our roads that are already, our tax dollars are already should be fixing. This especially bothers me when I know that we have a $3 million new airport terminal with $500,000 from our budget that had to be paid for that. So if you're gonna be able to find money in a budget to take $500,000 to build a new terminal that maybe 1.something% of the people are gonna be using, then you can find money to fix our streets without special assessments. So I challenge you guys to do that. Also, nope, that'll be on the next one. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. Any more public comment?
On November 9th, 2020, the council members were sworn in. Mr. Soha was one of them. And yet, he sat at the council seat on the 12th, which he would not have been a council member, because you're only there for 4 years. So at that time, you would not have been a council member. So if you voted on anything in the last meeting, which you just finished that meeting, I'm not sure where that is legally. So, and like I said, you wasn't sworn in at that time, so that's all I got to say. I just hope you all vote for the citizens of the city, not for any special interest or anything. I just think that's the best thing to do. I hope the committees all flush out good.
Nutler.
I know, I'm just watching the clock. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Any more public comment? Remember, there's going to be 2 more opportunities for public comment. Okay, we'll close the podium. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion on the floor from Councilman Stuccio, seconded by Councilman Soha. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. This meeting's adjourned. Call this meeting to order. Will those in attendance please rise? Join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome all our friends and neighbors and colleagues in joining us in this regularly scheduled November 18th, 2024 City Council meeting. As you come in tonight, which will be to my right, which will be to everyone else's left, there's a set of double doors. You'll walk through those double doors. On those double doors, there's a sign-in sheet. If you're a guest with us tonight, please sign in. City Clerk, can I have a roll call?
Yes, Councilperson Morrissey. Here. Palladino. Here. Bentley. Here. Flynn.
Here.
Soha. Stuccio. Bruns. Wolfram. And Mayor Stockford.
Here.
All present, Mayor.
Thank you, Katie. We'll move into approval of agenda. City Manager, any members of council have any changes to make to the agenda tonight? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Support?
Motion on the floor from Councilman Morrissey, seconded by Councilman Flynn to approve the agenda. All in favor? Any opposed? The ayes have it. We'll move into public comment on agenda items only. During the time, the podium will be open. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Please limit your trips to one to the podium. And remember, this is public comment on agenda items only, which means if you're going to speak during this particular public comment period, it has to have a direct tie to something present on the agenda tonight. Podium is now open.
Christian Winter, Ward 1. I'm up for Planning Commission in your miscellaneous reports section. I just wanted to come to introduce myself. I moved to Hillsdale County in 2018. I bought a house in Jonesville. And I want to clarify, I guess there's some confusion about where I live. I did live in Jonesville for 6 years. This summer I moved to Hillsdale, to Ward 1. And my Jonesville house I decided not to sell but to rent out. And so whatever confusion there was, I don't know if the system hasn't been updated or what, but I live in Hillsdale. That's what my ID says. I voted in the primary and in the general election here in Hillsdale, so hopefully that will help clarify some things. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. Any more public comment on agenda items only?
Hi, I'm Carrie Stewart. I'm a housing case manager for DOGIS 2 Services for Youth and Their Families. I help kids that are homeless or about to become homeless and their families to get the services that they need. I just wanted to speak on behalf of Camp Hope and Missy Destrogin. She's taken in a number of my kids that would have otherwise had no place else to go. So I would encourage you to continue to support her and the mission that she has, both financially and by just not shutting them down. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Any more public comment on agenda items only?
I want to speak on the FOIA appeal. I think it's ridiculous. I mean, it's just, if you want the information, then aren't you willing to pay for it? If it's not on the internet or you can't find it, then you go to the city to get it, which I do frequently. And I always pay for mine. I guess if this appeal goes through, I'm gonna start going through all of my old ones and appealing them also, which is probably close to $100 a month, probably. So, and I figure I can go back 7 years. I think that's the legal age. So I just think it's ridiculous to even try to appeal stuff like that. I mean, if you want it, you want it. Pay for it. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Any more public comment on agenda items only?
So I was reading over the audit, and I noticed on the audit, if you look at page 65, when you guys open your audit, now you probably just haven't read it yet. Page 65 is a readers of the city's financial statement narrative overview. And it talks about unrestricted funds, $18,499,745 represents unrestricted position. Increase in net position was over $6 million. Page 70 also talks about the general fund. The unassigned general fund balance is $1,494,535, and that's 17.8%. That's on page 70 and on page 71. They talk about different unrestricted funds. There's also unrestricted funds. For the electric and the water thing. There's lots of things doing that. I'm against, and I'm asking as Ward 4, congratulations by the way, Josh, I'm asking Ward 4 to vote against special assessments. And again, I just would like you guys to read that budget. I also noticed on page 6, Fund 203 Streets, we We only have, and like I said, I don't know anything about an audit, I'm just reading it. I'm not an accountant or anything, but on page 6, it says Fund 203 Streets. We've allotted, $12,847.02. But on page 13, Airport Improvement Fund, $481, on Fund 481, we've allotted $22,473.44. So we're doing $22,000 for Airport Improvement Fund and streets, $12,000. So somewhere, like I said, I'm gonna try to find some people who I know are accountants and maybe explain some of the stuff to me. But just going through, if you take that report and just up in the right corner, you put a keyword in and you just put the word streets, you can hit it and it will tell you there's 21 different times street came up, and that was also in a road name. Or the word tug. Tug only came up once, and that will come up tonight. So I don't know what they're asking to buy a new tug, but again, we don't use the airport, the majority of us, but we do use our streets. Please focus on getting our streets and think about chip seal, not just asphalt.
Thank you, Shannon. When it runs out of time, it's a real pain to get it going again. Any more public comment on agenda items only? Seeing none, we'll close the podium. We'll move into the consent agenda. We've got approval of bills, city and BPU claims of October 17th, payroll of November 7th, city council minutes of November 4th, finance minutes of November 4th, BPU minutes of November 12th, BPU smart sites, WIN 911, BPU grit screw wear shoe replacement, BPU mowing contract. That's a 1-year extension, BPU Hallett and South Lift Station standby generators. Any discussion on any of the items in the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. Motion on the floor from Councilman Morrissey, seconded by Councilman Soha. Can I have a roll call, City Clerk?
Yes, Councilmember Palladino?
Yes.
Bentley?
Yes.
Flynn?
Yes.
Soha? Stuchel? Bruns?
Yes.
Wolfram? Mayor Stockford?
Yes.
Councilperson Morrissey?
Yes.
9-0 approved, Mayor.
Thank you, Katie. We'll move into communications petitions. The first item is the audit report. Dave?
Thank you, Mayor. The audit report is put under communications just to present it to the public and to this council and mayor. So you have a couple of weeks to look at, read through it at your leisure, come up with any questions you might have. At our next meeting will actually be the audit presentation by the auditors, and both the auditors and our finance director will be here to answer any questions you might have. If there's something that, a question you come out, have before the meeting, if you want to send it our way, we can forward that to the finance director and auditors so that they're prepared to answer your questions when they come. But so that's why it's in the under communication at this meeting.
Very good, thanks, Dave. Any questions for Dave regarding that process? Councilman Flynn?
Would the next meeting then be an opportunity for those people to answer Mrs. Gainer's questions?
No.
Or is that not a proper time to do that?
They could potentially answer those questions in their comments,
Right.
For sure.
So if she were to bring that up at the early part of the public speaking
Yes.
on agenda items only, then they might, if they choose, address those while they're here.
Correct. The finance director would probably be the best person to answer those questions.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Councilman Flynn. Any more questions? Comments? Seeing none, we'll move into the next item in communications petition, which is the Holiday Bazaar Flyer. This is at Hillsdale 3 Methodist Church, and it's from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. On November 23rd. So quickly approaching. Okay. The third item in communications petitions, C is, letter C is Melissa Desjardins, Missy.
Hello, my name is Melissa Desjardins. I'm the executive director of Hillsdale Community Thrift. We just celebrated our 6th-year anniversary there. It has been a privilege serving my community. Camp Hope started in April of 2023, when once we found out that there was going to be an ordinance on the camping ban on public space. I had no intention of doing anything like this of any kind. This came as a calling because no one else stepped up. I don't think anybody, and I don't blame you guys, for not knowing how many people were actually on the trails when this happened or how many kids were on the trails. The solution that came from it, obviously from the creation of the ordinance, obviously created Camp Hope. I can't complain about the creation of the ordinance because it created something incredibly beautiful. In the year and a half that we have been running Camp Hope, we've had over 200 people come across, and I just wanted to inform you on who those 200 people were. 5 of them were from out of county. All of them were, the rest of them were from our city here. I do want to update you on there was an illegal immigrant that came here. There was the police department were actually the people who dropped them off at my camp.
The sheriff's department,
Yes,
not the city police.
that's what he said. I don't know exactly who specifically it was.
Wasn't the city police.
Yeah, I don't, like I said, he could not hardly speak English anyway. I don't know who the police department was. It could have been the state police for all I know. All I know is I want to thank our local city police department, Mr. Mayor, and our, I guess it would be the Border Patrol and ICE and Homeland Security for getting them out of our city within 3 days. So, I don't know much else what to say about that other than that was the one and only time that we have ever had an illegal immigrant. With that being said, my point in telling you that portion was that having Camp Hope did not draw people in to come to our city to live in a tent. Our city is laughed at the resources that we have, that we provide to our constituents. No one comes here for our resources. We lack resources. We are at the bottom of the scale when it comes to our surrounding counties. No one comes here for our resources. So with that being said, I'm just trying to make sure that you understand, and if you want to see my roster of how many people have been here and the copies of their identifications and their history and where they came from, I'll be happy to share that, but there was only 5 that came from out of county, and the other ones, besides the illegal immigrant, was because their housing fell short. The housing that they were supposed to get, they didn't get, or they moved in with somebody, one girlfriend, boyfriend, and then that fell short. So Camp Hope did not bring in other people from other counties. So in moving forward, to update all of you, homelessness is a very complex issue. We all know that. We all watch movies, we all listen to the news, we all have this opinion about it, but until you live it, until you see it, you know nothing. I'll be completely honest with you. I have learned more in the last year and a half about humanity than I think I would have ever learned in a lifetime without meeting somebody who was homeless. What the unfortunate part is stereotypes and misconceptions. People fear and have insecurities about them. Some people just lack pure empathy. We have cultural and societal influences that speak about homeless. And then we have economic competition. People get angry that they receive benefits and then the working people don't because they don't qualify. What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save them? Suppose a brother and sister, or a brother and sister, is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to them, "Go in peace, keep warm and well fed," but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it? In the same way, faith by itself is not accompanied by action, is dead. That's James 2:14-17. The reason why I share that with you is while not everybody is a humanitarian, they serve in other ways. They serve in other ways, like where you sit in council right now. Everybody has their purpose. Do you want to get that?
My bad.
No, it's okay. Is mine off? Yeah, it is. everybody has a purpose. Some people are way better at doctors, some people are good at lawyering, some people are not good at lawyering or not good at doctors. But the point of the matter is we're all designed to do different things, and we gotta stick with what we're good at, right? And we look to the experts, the ones that, are the experts on things. So like we wouldn't go to our plumber and ask him how to rebuild our transmission. So, that's why we go to the experts for that. Transitional housing is basically how Camp Hope has basically been run. I drug test. They don't have necessarily a time limit, but they have to continue to keep moving forward with things. That could be their birth certificates, social security cards, driver's licenses. They have to continue the program. The program is built for them to be able to be back on their feet, and when they do get permanent housing, they can keep that permanent housing. So I differ than a shelter. They cannot use illegal drugs or alcohol on my property. They can't use marijuana on my property either, but marijuana is legal. So if they go off property and eat a gummy, I don't do anything about that, just because of the fact that the number one thing that homelessness have is a lot of depression. And so all I care about is obviously the illegal drugs and the alcohol, which obviously stems to most of the time fighting, hysteria, everything else. Transitional housing helps bridge a gap between homelessness and permanent housing for certain segments of the homeless population. It brings safety and stability, support services, time to rebuild, community and connection, and prevention of chronic homelessness. Chronic homelessness stems from obviously a lack of support system. All of you, people behind me, I'm here because of the support system that I had. That included teachers, that included friends, that included my parents. With that being said, there is a questionnaire that is done, and it's called Adverse Childhood Experiences. With that is questions that come about that are like, did you ever feel that you haven't had enough to eat? Had you had to wear dirty clothes or had no one to protect or take care of you when you were a child? Did you lose a parent through divorce, abandonment, death, or another reason? Did you live with anyone who was depressed, mentally ill, or attempted suicide? And the list goes on and on. The higher your score, the higher your chances of being unsuccessful because you lack the support system that would have been there as a child. These things can be targeted, just like Carrie that came up and talked about young kids. That is actually the population that we should actually be paying attention to. They are actually the most influenced generation at that age. And so I've had, how many? Three of Dochase's kids there. And so they don't have anybody else. They're 18, 19 years old. Like, where are they gonna go? Anyway, with that being said, the higher your score with ACEs, they have found that that's where the homelessness comes in. The use of drugs and alcohol, the depression, trying to just stick with my points. Point of the matter is that I got a thing in the mail that stated that I have until, just give me a second, January 28th, 2025, because of the tent that I had put up. Obviously you all know that the state of Michigan came, somebody called the state of Michigan Health Department and said that I was making them poop and pee in the woods, I wasn't providing water, I wasn't providing a bathroom. State of Michigan showed up, the guy was totally impressed. He said you should probably, look into becoming a campground, look into that aspect. Can't be a campground with homeless because it's recreational only. So he said basically the only thing that they have you on is that you have more than 4 tents. And so we sat there in my office and we decided, fine, how about one really big tent? And he said, then you're in compliance according to the campground portion. I asked that gentleman if they had any other concerns or anything like that. And he was from the health department. And he left. And they never came back. According to one of the things that was written on here was that the health department has some concerns, but yet has never stepped foot on my property other than that man. If they had so many concerns, I'm not a scary person. They could have came and looked for themselves. I only formed Camp Hope because these people had nowhere to go. Yes, did I think it was going to be completely temporary and I'd house these 17 people and then, then we could close it down. But I've never had less than 11. Right now I have 23. I had an 18-month-old kid with his mom and a dad with 2 kids, one in high school and one in middle school. And so for my January deadline, I can't tear that tent down in January. It'll be frozen to the ground. It's literally anchored to the ground. I'm not gonna be able to take it down, so I will figure out a way to work with the city in whatever way I can. But my plans are, and still will be, that I plan on working with the planning commission, zoning commission, whoever I gotta work with. But transitional housing needs to be in Hillsdale. And if I gotta build a pole barn on that property of some sort, or whatever I gotta do, the transitional housing is a must. People need a safe place to be able to go to grow, because they never had the opportunity to do so. That's it.
Thank you, Missy. Are there any questions for Missy? Councilman Flynn?
Missy, do you have an average of how long those folks stay with you before they move on?
Yeah, the average is unfortunately anywhere from like 6 months to a year. Sometimes we get lucky, and people get housing. I have people who work full-time in there. I have people who are on disability. I have 2 in there that I feel, I'm not an expert, but 2 of them that really should be in some sort of group home. Their mentality seems to be very childlike. But it's the lack of housing. We don't have enough affordable housing here in Hillsdale. All of them receive help from Community Action Agency to be able to receive help in getting like first month and security deposit paid, but there's no affordable housing. And what I mean by that is the apartments too. And so it's anywhere from 6 months to a year wait, because there's a wait list on almost all of them. You're welcome.
Any more questions?
I have one. Did you say you have 23 on your property at this time?
Yep.
Okay, and the 200 number were people that have come through your program?
Yep, I've had over 200 people come through that program. Yep. And if you wanna know how many of that has been housed permanently, it's more than half. And 50 of them are minors, so they were minors accompanied with their parents, or parent.
Any more questions for Missy? Councilman Flynn?
Are these people, do they just show up? Or are they placed there? Does one of the agencies bring them and say, hey, Missy, we don't have any other place for these? Or do these people just come knocking on your door?
Yep, I've had DHS call me, I've had Lifeways call me, I have had the state police call me, I've had the city police drop people off, I have had, because they were residents or the county that, somebody in our county that needed a safe place to go. And they have brought them to me, and I do a small orientation and screen, which we go over, their criminal record. Anybody that is considered a sex offender, I cannot allow on the property since there are children. And if they have a violent criminal history, I cannot allow them on there as well because of the children. Other than that, everybody pretty much passes. I've had one other time where a gentleman that came from, I don't remember what county, somewhere up north, and he showed up on our doorstep. And he had a very violent history of domestic violence, and I said, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to keep on going, unfortunately. So that's my program. That's the difference between me and a shelter.
Also, Missy's being humble, and she was careful with her words. That illegal immigrant that was dropped off there by one of our local police agencies wasn't just an illegal immigrant. He was a gang member from a very infamous Ecuadorian or Honduran gang. And Missy, you handled that like a champ, first of all. Am I not? I know you didn't, because we were in constant contact, and I will tell you, I don't know why you thanked Border Patrol and ICE, because they didn't do anything.
Well, they did. They do something sometimes.
Or our congressman's office, who asked me to submit a letter to start meanwhile, this guy's in our community. Missy, am I incorrect? Did you not move everybody out of there and into your house when that was going on?
Yeah, the kids and the parents, some went into my office, and then others went to my home. Because like I said, once I found out that that he had that kind of, he was a part of the MC-13, I'm not saying it right, it's out of Venezuela, but he was part of that group. And regardless if he was an acting member or he was running still, the guy was missing an eye. His health was just absolutely awful. And I believe in transparency, and so maybe this will bite me in the end, but I made sure he was well fed. And if y'all know anything about weed, I made sure that there was indica on the property so that he'd be in the couch. You know, so he more or less slept and ate until we could figure out what was gonna happen. I didn't really want him to have any energy to walk around, you know what I mean? I'm being completely honest, because I didn't know what to do. I looked to the officials to tell me what needed to be done, and I followed their advice, and then 3 days later, we got him out of there, and he was willing to go. He wanted to go to Canada. I don't know why. That's where he was gonna go.
You did what had to be done, so
Yeah,
thank you for that,
you're welcome.
because that's something that
Yeah, I was,
could have caused quite a community upstir
Yeah.
at the time.
oh, absolutely, yeah.
It came and went without incident, thanks to you and thanks to our city police department.
Yeah.
But not ICE or Border Patrol.
No, they didn't really have anything to say. They were gonna
didn't do-
come all the way, and he wasn't really, they interviewed him or whatever.
Yep,
I'm like,
yep.
well, whatever, fine.
They knew he was a gang member, they knew he was illegal, they've been tracking him across the country.
California,
They're
right?
not gonna come
Yeah, he was all
to
the way in
Hillsdale.
California.
Let us know if anything happens, so anyways, I'm sorry, that's something that's gonna always stick in my craw, but thank you for covering the community's back on that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any more questions for Missy? Councilman Soha?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Missy, for the update. I just wanted to make council aware, the city does have an ordinance against camping in the city, and we have turned a blind eye to that for the last year and a half, because of what, recently I had members of our public safety, both police and fire, tell me that the tent is not in as a, good of condition as what Missy described today, and they thought it was a fire hazard and they thought that it was a danger. And so there's a dilemma there. And I also feel, unfortunately, that a year and a half is a long time to turn a blind eye to a city ordinance, and if we continue to turn a blind eye to that, then what other repercussions are we gonna have? Is a man like what came earlier about getting his FOIA fees canceled for the last 7 years, somebody else gonna come up with some other ordinance, and are we gonna have a storm our community tends to take hold of something and come here and berate council over it. We had that over some of the assessments and stuff recently, so I just want council to be aware the ordinance, and Mr. Mackey, would you please have the ordinance on have the ordinance about camping on the next agenda so that we can discuss it. Thank you. And then I appreciate what you're doing, but unfortunately I've had some of the public servants that we hire tell me otherwise, and also we have the ordinance that prohibits camping within the city limits.
But is it camping within the city limits, or is it camping on city property?
It was camping on public property.
Public property, okay.
There's another ordinance that already applies in the city
Okay.
for private property as well.
Okay, I'm not an expert on the ordinances, so I wasn't aware of that.
And with that, I do want you to know, I don't know if any of you ever walked out there when you saw them camping in the woods. And believe me, I did everything I possibly could to make that tent safe. It's insulated, it has the plastic sheeting wrap on the inside, and it has a firewall on the inside as well. And so, that tent's full. And we've had to call EMS, and we have a 3-foot walkway. So, does it get messy? Absolutely. Some of those are younger kids, and that's their bedroom, and so yes, sometimes their dirty clothes are on the ground. I don't know who would be the professional in this, but as far as safety goes, they're safer staying with me than they are on the trails. That was the whole reason why I even did it to begin with. was because I knew with the ordinance, somebody who didn't want them there could stir up trouble. They could have gotten angry and stirred up trouble with somebody else walking on the trail. It would have been an absolute terrible scenario. So that is why I created what I did, so that it would give them and the city police department some place to be able to tell these people where they can go. I did my best.
Councilman Stuchel.
One question, you know, we got a great partnership with the city, the work you're doing is fantastic, and you read a bit of scripture, which is touching. Have you sold that to the churches? I mean, we're 22 people, 23 people, we have plenty of churches in this community, and it's just, I mean, have you sold it to the churches? Have you knocked on their door? Because that's part of this answer.
I couldn't agree with you more. I reached out wondering what the churches were gonna do, when this ordinance was being created, like what were they gonna do? And the churches all know what I do. My biggest, supporter, which would actually be, I consider more of a partner, is, Life Changing Church, the new church that's here. Pastor Brock and that whole entire, the members of that church have been, God sent to me when I couldn't pay bills and stuff.
But I believe most of the pastors have a committee or a group that they meet on a regular basis. Is there any way you could drop this in front of all of them? I mean, church to church type of thing?
Yeah, I've had somebody that has done the reach outs for me, asking for financial help, guidance, all of it. And I'll be completely honest with you, there has not been that many churches that have been interested at all. And that's the honest truth.
Any more questions for Missy? Thank you, Missy.
Thank you, Adam.
Okay, we'll move on in communications petitions to item letter D. Penny Myers, share the warmth. Penny?
I have a letter I'm gonna read. Me being here, this is not what I like to do. This is not part of what I like to do, so I just tell you that. Anyway, thank you so much for letting me be here tonight. My name is Penny Myers, and I'm the Executive Director of Share the Warmth of Hillsdale County. I want to give a recap for some of you that don't know about us and how we got started. So, back in 2017, I was approached by a member of Sozo Church. They're new here in town. Well, they've been here 7 years now. So, but they were new at the time, and I was asked if I'd be interested in, getting something started like a warming center or a shelter. And I mean, to be honest, at that time, I thought, why do we need something like that? We don't have homeless in Hillsdale. I mean, that's really what I thought. I had no idea. I had no clue. But after talking with my husband and praying about it, we thought, well, why not, So the very first thing we did after a conversation with a couple people at the church is we came and met with Dave Mackey. Let him know what we were planning on doing, and at that time, he said it was, it was okay, that we could do a warming center. And then we talked with Alan Beaker, the zoning commissioner, to make sure that, if we got started with something like that, we wouldn't get shut down because, we didn't want to do that. So, 7 years later, we are still going at Sozo Church. So, I can say, well, I could say the churches have helped us. It's been amazing what this community has done for Share the Warmth of Hillsdale County. And Adam, I wanted to get up earlier to say, I agree with you. I don't like it when people talk bad about our community. And I know that there's naysayers and, like every community, but I can say from the bottom of my heart that this community has taken care of the people that come in to share the warmth. I would invite each one of you, and I have invited you before, to come and see our facility, see what we do, meet some of the people that come in. We have met some beautiful people and our volunteers. we don't operate without volunteers. We have 4 shifts, we have 2 volunteers on the first shift, and 1 volunteer, in the middle of the night shifts, and 2 volunteers on the last shift. They come in, we launder their clothes, we feed them dinner, we feed them breakfast before they go out. And every season since we've started in 2017 or 2018 is when we actually opened, we have seen people get off the street and into housing and move on with their lives. And our volunteers, last year we lost somebody, and our volunteers, they paid for his cremation because they love this gentleman so much. So, a lot of things that Missy said is so true. We don't have enough housing here. And, she's got a lot of the statistics, so, I take my hat off to her. She's good like that. And, when we got started in 2018, we knew that a warming center, a seasonal shelter was never going to be enough. But because we don't want to have government funding, we've had to wait, because it's a lot of money. And Sozo Church, they have let us operate there for 6 years in their building, and they have not charged us a dime. So that's a church. So they have given and given and given and given. And a lot of churches have supported us. You should come and see our storage area, how much food we have down there. We have clothing. This community is wonderful. So because we do want to become a full-time shelter, it's like, where are we going to get the money for that, right? Because we don't want government funding. So back in September, I was approached by a community member that appreciates what we're trying to do, and they're willing to help us move forward with a shelter. Now, let me go to my notes so I can read this to you. So we are excited about becoming a full-time shelter, but we're also scared. We're apprehensive because going from a warming center to a full-time shelter, it's going to be a big responsibility. And we have a long road ahead of us. But I do believe, and our volunteers believe, that our community will be safer if we have a full-time shelter. Because the thing of it is they're not going away. The homeless community is not going away. They're here. And I always feel like if they're in that shelter at night, they're not on the street getting in trouble or breaking into somebody's house. It's just better. So we have made a commitment to the best of our ability to do things decently in order, which we have always tried to do. Before we got started, we came to the city, to let the city know. So, what can I say? I'm not as good as Missy is with my words, but, what she's tried to do up there is amazing, because we close at the end of March. So what were people supposed to do? We are going to work diligently to make sure that there is something available for these people. And I have a scripture here too, but I'm not going to read it because she, the same one that she read, because that's really what it is. So other than that, there's really not much more to say. We care for these people, and some of them are just beautiful people, amazing people. And again, come. We open at 4:30 every night. Come and see. Come and meet some of them. It's, they're just people, just like all of us. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Penny. Any questions for Penny? Councilman Flynn?
Penny, a couple of questions. One, how many can you accommodate?
Well, so we are working on trying to get some bunk beds. So we can probably get 50 people in there, and more if needed.
Okay. And are they screened are they checked for identification? Are they, like, Missy said,
yes.
are most of these from the
They're
city as
Hillsdale.
well?
All right, so this is something that I was gonna say in here that I have written down. I cannot say that we don't ever get transients, I cannot say that. But I can say this, if we do get transients, I tell them right up front that this is a Hillsdale County facility and they can spend the night, but then they need to move, you know, they need to go on. And I will say this, that, even if I let them stay a week, they don't stay longer than a week. They're out of town. I heard the chief of police from the city, he said the same thing. You know, we see transients, but they don't stay. They don't have a tie to this community. So most everybody, you know, they're community people, you know, and I wonder where did they come from, you know, but they're here, they have ties to this community. If they haven't lived here for a while, they have family here. So we just really don't see a lot of transients. I know that's not the rumor, but it's just the truth.
And Missy said that she drug screens and all of that. Do you do that as well?
No, I don't, and I'm not gonna say I never will, cause I have, so I'll tell you, I have a young woman, well, she's not young, but, she came to us 4 years ago, and, she was a mess. She was a mess. And 4 years, you know, we loved her and cared for her, and she's been clean now for almost a year. So that's what I see. Now, we don't let them, well, we don't let them use drugs in the facility. We lock away their backpacks, we check them, we check their pockets, we lock their backpacks up so they can't have them at night. But if they come in, as long as they behave, you know, we let them come in. So, but I will say this, and this was the first time that this has ever happened. Last year, I kicked out 9 people because of the bad behavior and the drug use. So we don't tolerate it. We do not tolerate bad behavior. But we do love them. You know, I love them. I love the drug addicts because, you know, they need help, you know. But they do have to behave when they come in there.
Yes. Councilman Wolfram?
So what are your hours, not only just during the day, but, you said you close in March?
Okay, so, we opened November 1st. And, last year we stayed open until the middle of April. Now, there might be hopes that we can stay open a little longer this season too. But the building does belong to the church, so that's, you know, I don't know, so.
And during the day, what is your daily schedule?
We are not open during the day, except if we have families, moms with children, they would stay in the building all day. So they leave at 8 o'clock in the morning, so.
Okay. And when do you start? In the evening?
4:30.
4:30? So 4:30 to 8 a.m.? Thank you.
Any more questions for Penny? Councilman Palladino?
Thank you. Do you plan to pool resources with Missy for this full-time shelter? Are the separate facilities necessary for different purposes, or would it be best just to have one year round?
It would be best to have 1 year round. That's my opinion, but you know, I don't know what the future holds. You know, I don't know. Yeah. So.
Any more questions for Penny?
Real quick, Mr. Mayor. If you do a full year shelter, it would not be at Sozo Church, you would move to a different facility?
Yeah, we are gonna have to find our own building.
Okay, do you have anything?
No.
Okay.
Several we've looked at, but nothing is set in stone just yet. So.
Would they be here in the city limits, or you're not sure yet?
Not sure yet.
Okay, thank you.
But, you know, our plan is to make sure that we give updates, so the city knows what we're doing, so.
Any more questions for Penny? Councilman Soha?
Penny, thank you for doing the warming center. This isn't a question, this is another just kind of statement. So it might be a good idea for us to pressure our state representatives, the senator and our new representative, Jen Warts. When the state passed the jail reform 2 years ago, it's really handcuffed our public safety, especially the police, to be able to enforce the laws for vagrancy. So our state has really handcuffed our police to be able to keep our community safe. So I would encourage you, if you're willing, to reach out and, let it be known that that jail reform bill did not help small communities be able to keep the peace. On the other hand, there is obviously a desperate need in our community, so I don't know how to, the best way to handle that, but knowing that the one church or two churches out of all the churches in the community are the ones that are really paying attention is very disheartening. So I appreciate that, bringing that attention to light, and I would hope that we as a community could come together and find a solution. I know generosity is hard to come by, especially with the economy the way it is today, but it's philanthropy that's going to fix this, not us up here.
And I agree with you. I think as a city, we do need to come together because it is a city issue. These people, this is how I see it, okay? These people belong to us. I don't care. They're our people. They're our community people, and we are responsible to take care of them in whatever way we can, in the best way that we can. I'm not opposed to holding people accountable for their bad behavior, though. I'm not opposed to that at all. So, anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Penny. I'm proud of you. Okay, we'll move on in the packet to communications petitions. Item letter E, Hillsdale County Commissioner update. Commissioner Ingles?
Thank you, Mayor, Council, City Manager. I have no update tonight, but I'm here to answer your questions that you may have.
Any questions for Commissioner Ingles? Councilman Soha?
I knew it.
Thank you, Commissioner. I noticed the scaffolding is almost down completely.
Well, it's not, I can't say it's almost down. I can say the north side of the courthouse, that scaffolding has come down. They're still working on the roof where the scaffolding was on the roof, and they're completing some of the copper. You'll see that there's a lot of new shiny copper that's finishing that part up, and that the plan still is by the end of November to have the scaffolding complete. I've not heard anything other than that, and I know they're busy like bees up there right now.
Continue.
Thank you. And then on the courthouse annex, is that annex, is what's happening in the current courthouse annex, is that moving to Care Drive?
The plan is to find a new home, absolutely. The annex building itself needs to be vacated in 3 years. In a year and a half, upstairs needs to be completely vacated. We will be shuffling the deck, so to speak, to help make that happen. And the final location for District Court is still to be determined. We are looking at the current Lifeways building.
Councilman Flynn?
This may seem like a silly question, but with the new clock and the chimes and everything now working, I just remember years and years and years ago that those who rented the apartments downtown came to council 30, 40 years ago, whenever it was, and weren't happy that those chimes were going overnight, disturbing the rest. Is there going to be a time when the chimes are shut down, or right now are you planning on running them 24 hours?
Has there been a question about that?
Well, I'm just trying to, so that when they do start going and regularly, we're the ones that are gonna have people come up and say, hey, what are you doing about the chimes? And we're gonna tell them, that's a county thing, that's not us, but we're just trying to keep everybody happy.
So the chimes have been running now for 2 months anyway, and I guess my question is, have you had any feedback from any constituents?
Go ahead, Councilman Soha.
Thank you, Mayor. So I hear them at 7 o'clock in the morning. when I'm having my coffee, and then they end sometime 8 or 7, 8, 9 at night, I'm not sure.
I mean, we're gonna have a Kiefer Hotel open up here pretty soon. I mean, we're maybe seeing more people downtown right now, no, but in the future, maybe.
Yes, and so, the clocks now can be controlled with, our facilities director's phone. And if there's something that does need to be adjusted, it absolutely can be. But I can tell you that during the day, the clock and the chime's running all day, and during court time, and the judges have not, the judges were the first, before the residents, that would let us know that the chimes and the bell was too loud. We have not heard that from the judges in any way, form, or shape. So I think that when they did the electronic mechanism, that it actually has softened the tone so that it's not that hard driving bell. You know, and I live 2 blocks from the courthouse, and I do hear the chimes in the evening, and they're distant off and it sounds nice. So
Okay, any more questions?
I have a comment before I finish.
Yes,
And that is, Mayor Stockford, I want to thank you for your service. The bridge that has been created between city and county, you're definitely part of, and we do appreciate that. And in terms of the new council persons, I hope to develop a relationship so that we can continue in a strong fashion, because we are a community.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
and I thank you, and I wish you guys good luck. Congratulations or condolences, I'm not sure, but today, it's absolutely congratulations. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Doug. And seriously, keep a line of communication open with this guy, because I see him this Sunday dinner, but you guys don't, it's really important the county and the city works together. It's been at times a antagonistic relationship for years, and I think it's getting better, so thank you, Commissioner. Okay, we'll move on in our packet. We've got no adoption of ordinances or public hearings, got no old business, so we'll move into new business. Item A, airport hangar lease. Dave.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll ask the airport manager, Ginger Moore, to come up. But, so with this item, Tom Symes, a current renter of corporate hangar 1, which is owned by the city. Tom currently leases the hangar for $400 a month. The hangar is about 2,700 square feet. It's an old hangar and in need of a lot of work. The hangar doors are in such bad shape they are almost unusable, and this is 100% true. Tom has agreed to put at least $50,000 to repair the doors and other things into the building. Trying to come up with a creative way to finance or to pay for some of the repairs at the airport. We came up with this lease that Tom would make the upfront improvements, and then in lieu of that, we would waive the rent for a certain period of time to cover that cost. And we, Ginger and I basically feel this is a win-win for both of us, because the T hangars there are probably in worse shape. We're pretty darn close, and we generate revenue from these facilities, and if we don't take care of them in some manner, the airport will cease to be self-sufficient, or cease towards getting to be self-sufficient. It's never in its history been self-sufficient, but we're getting very close to that. So, Ginger, is there anything you want to add to that? And Tom is here, by the way, so he is with us.
Well, and Tom's been renting, well, first, good evening, council members and mayor and city manager. And Dave laid it out pretty well. Tom has been renting from us since 2019. He moved his business to the Hillsdale County area from Canada, and he owns a couple of airplanes. And he's been struggling so much with the doors. They barely work at all anymore. And anybody in aviation knows that the hangar doors are the most expensive part of a hangar, unfortunately. But you need the doors to get in and out. So Tom was willing to come up with a plan to help us get the doors without it taking money, from the city right away. So we hope that this is something you'll see as a win-win as well.
Thank you, Ginger. Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with it. It's not gonna cost the city, I mean, not gonna cost us any money up front, so, yeah, great idea. Any questions? Councilman Flynn?
Just a couple, Ginger. I used to serve on the airport advisory board. At that time, we had talked about, or it had been mentioned, that the T-hangars themselves were going to be replaced and built with new. Is that still in the plans or not?
No, just recently, I've convinced MDOT to take the taxiway around the old terminal and the T-hangars. So when they do the parallel taxiway, we'll be able to keep all of that.
Okay.
So we need to start fixing up those T-hangars. And we'll then have the old part of the airport with probably the smaller aircraft, the older aircraft, and then the newer part where the new terminal's going with the more modern, the jets and such. So we have a lot of activity out there. The airport keeps growing every year with fuel sales and larger aircraft coming in. And I know, people think, oh, well, I don't use the airport, so why do we need it? I did have a community benefits assessment come in and discuss things. And the airport brings in about 4 to 5 million just in the local area, let alone it brings in 7.9 statewide in labor, brings in 16 million in local output and 24.7 million in statewide output. So just because you don't use the airport doesn't mean you're not benefiting from the airport.
The other question, Mr. Mayor, I had was, so Tom currently leases the hangar for $400 a month. In 10 years, and he puts all that money into it, of course, it's going to be a newer building. So I'm assuming that he would pay more in rent?
He would pay the market value at that time.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Any more questions for Ginger? Councilman Palladino?
When was the last time hangar rents were raised?
Well, we raised the rents on the T-hangars about a year ago. They were 75, we raised them to 100. But even at 100, they're in really bad shape. We could easily get 200, 250 if we could get doors that work and, fixed up. The hangar that Tom is in has been 400, and the reason it's at that price is because it's in such horrible shape.
How long will we get from the new equipment?
Pardon me?
How long will the lifespan of the new equipment be?
Are you talking about a tug or are you talking about the hangar?
He's putting in the doors.
The hangar doors.
Correct.
Well, the hangar doors that are there right now were put in the 60s, so should last a while, I hope.
Do you plan to raise hangar rents at all in the next 10 years?
If we get the hangars looking better, yes.
Oh, but are you gonna follow this model for all of the repairs?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay, yeah, just seeing, we're foregoing 48,000, correct, over 10 years for a minimum of $50,000 investment, so we're making $2,000, but then once you factor in raises in rent and deterioration of the new equipment, I'm not sure, it's sort of like the Three Meadows thing actually, I'm not sure we're actually gonna make that much more in the long run, possibly, but it might be hard to calculate out. I wonder if we could do, same thing I'll say with many things, I wonder if we could do, $50 a month or something like that. I don't like when we constantly cut off our revenue stream and project revenue into the future. I think that it focuses taxes on the current generation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Palladino. Any more questions for Ginger? Okay, Council?
I make a move that we agree to the airport hangar lease agreement.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Flynn, seconded by Councilman Soha. Can I have a roll call, City Clerk?
Yes. Councilperson Bentley?
No.
Flynn?
Yes.
Soha? Stuchel? Bruns?
No.
Wolfram? Mayor Stockford?
Yes.
Councilperson Morrissey? And Palladino? There you have it. Was that 6-3? Passes.
Thank you, Katie. All right, we'll move into new business item letter B. Don't go anywhere, Ginger. Airport tug purchase. Dave.
Thank you, Mayor. So the second item is also on the airport tug. And I will let Ginger talk about this in general, or kind of tell you the use and purpose of this, if you don't understand it from the summary. But this is a piece of equipment given our clientele that is needed. This is a used piece of equipment, so this is not a new one. It has been, or it was in the adopted budget, so it is budgeted for. And if we want to continue to generate the revenue that we have been with the new jets, we need this piece of equipment. Previously, we had a tenant who allowed us to use their piece of equipment, so we were able to get by without owning our own. That piece of equipment is no longer available to us, so in order to move the larger jets, the multi-million-dollar jets, we need this. And Steve, who also works at the airport, and Ginger did a lot of research on this, and this is a very good purchase. So Ginger, do you want to add to that?
Well, there's many different types of tugs out there. Some pick up a tire, some you have to have a special arm on it to tow it with different things. So we looked into all the different types, the costs, that type of thing. The one that we decided was the best for the majority of the jets that come in, it'll go up to 25,000 pounds. And it's not the real large jets, it's the medium-sized jets and under. It picks up the tire, and it allows us to move them in and out of it. Like the large hangar that we fixed up so we can put them in there overnight if we have to get one warmed up to get the ice off of it, even if it's just for a little bit. And we do charge like $400 a night to put a jet into the hangar. So also there's times when, especially when there's a big event out at the airport and a lot of jets are coming in at the same time, one will park somewhere, we gotta move them, they're in the way of whether it be a fuel, station or another aircraft, or in the way of a taxiway, or the wind's changed and now you have to move them so they're more into the wind. So there's many times when you do have to use a tug, and so many times when the pilots come, they say, well, can you get your tug and move this? We're like, but we don't have a tug. And they're always shocked that we're taking care of this large of aircraft and don't have a way to move them. So, like Dave said, we had this in the budget, it was approved, and this is a good brand. We discussed it even with our airport advisory committee, they were all agreeable with it. So, I'm for it.
Thank you, Ginger. Any questions? Councilman Stuchel.
Just one, is this a service the airport provides, or is there a fee to use it?
There's not a fee to move an airplane, but there's a fee to put the airplane into the hangar. So the hangar cost would pay for moving that around. Now, we wouldn't charge them if we had to move them just because their wingtip was in the way of a taxiway or something like that. But yeah.
Ginger, could you mention just how they get charged for landing fees or fuel?
Well, we have a fee structure that's based on pounds. The smaller commercial aircraft, such as a single-engine turboprop or a twin-engine King Air, that type of thing that weighs 6,000 pounds up to about 12,000 pounds, they would pay 50 to 100. A twin would be 100 to land, or they would have to buy at least 100 gallons of fuel. Now the jets, they go from about 13,000 pounds to 25,000 pounds. They are 200 to land or 200 gallons. And then above that, it's 400 to land or 400 gallons. And we've done real well with that. So many of them will say, well, shoot, I'll buy some fuel then. Or they have no problem with a landing fee. Yep, do a landing fee. So we've done quite well with those kinds of fees to get the airplanes taken care of.
Councilman Flynn.
So if an airplane, one of the smaller ones, is gonna pay $100 to land, or they're gonna buy $100 in fuel,
Not $100,
Or
100
no,
gallons.
100 gallons,
Yeah.
that's what I meant, I'm sorry. How much per gallon of fuel?
Jet
Roughly.
fuel is $6.78, we profit, it depends on if it's retail or if it's contract fuel.
Okay.
But, yeah, we
So they're
make,
gonna spend $678 on fuel.
Right.
Instead of $100. Okay. And real quick, if we don't have this tug, would that cause pilots and or businesses to say, you know what, we're just gonna go land in Jackson?
some might, especially if we can't get them in a hangar in the winter. Yeah, they would go somewhere else.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? Councilman Soha?
Just to that point, I know a man who flew in, there was a snowstorm, he flew out so his plane wouldn't get snow on it and came back for the next day. So people make choices. Plus Coldwater has hangars, Jackson has hangars, Adrian has hangars. We have a lot of competition. But people like our airport for its convenience and its size and its staff. I'm sorry, I did have a question. I was a little confused by the aircraft ground equipment corps email to Stephen Boyd that was part of, at the end, because it has different numbers than what we're buying, and it seems that those are electric. I don't understand why those are part of the packet if we're buying a diesel.
Oh, there were some other tugs in there just for comparison. And some of those tugs, they required an arm for a tow for different types of aircraft, so you have to buy different arms for different aircraft. You have to make sure you get them right, and some of those arms are thousands of dollars, where the one that picks up the tire is the best one for us. We even have some of our customers that will only allow you to pick up a tire.
And that's what
That's what we're
this
looking at, it's the Tiffin Air.
X750. Okay. And then it says, just to follow up, delivery to be determined, what does that mean?
I don't know, Steve. Yeah, we go get it. It's in Ohio.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for Ginger? Councilman Palladino?
Just same statement. We say that our top priorities are public safety and roads, and yet we continue to spend piecemeal on smaller items in the budget over and over as we're charging our own citizens $5,000 at the threat of losing their home.
Thank you, Councilman Palladino. Any more discussion? Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the purchase of the tug for the airport at the requested price.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Flynn, seconded by Councilman Stuchel. Can I have a roll call, City Clerk?
Yes, Councilperson Flynn,
Yes?
Soha. Stuchel. Bruns,
No.
Wolfram. Mayor Stocker.
No.
Councilperson Morrissey.
Yes.
Palladino. And Bentley.
No.
5-4. Approved.
Thank you, Katie. Okay, we will move into item letter C in new business, FOIA appeal. Dave.
Thank you, Mayor. So as part of our FOIA process, we do have an option for folks to appeal a FOIA or FOIA response. This gentleman, actually, we had indicated to him that he needed to pay for it up front. And I think it was only $19, and he is appealing that, indicating that this is for media or that type of benefit. That being said, he is from Ethiopia, and regardless of where he's from, we typically do not waive fees for any FOIAs, even for the media. So we would just recommend that not be done here to set a precedent.
Councilman Morrissey.
Yeah, I took a look at this, it is the law as I understand it. Our city attorney can confirm or deny this, but any person can apply for a FOIA. It's any person, it doesn't matter what country they come from.
Doesn't
right?
matter where they are.
But having, with that point made, so this man can have a FOIA, but it amazes me to some extent that that's true, but at any rate, that's the way it is. But I certainly don't think we should waive this fee for him or anybody else.
Why don't I remember this FOIA request? Did it have nothing to do with council, or?
No, it was for, video, from, some police activities.
Got it. Okay. Sure, the dog, right? I remember that.
Yeah, this is something different, but
Oh,
just
okay.
like that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, anybody have anything to add? I would agree with Councilman Morrissey.
I move to deny the request.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Soha to deny the appeal request, seconded by Councilman Morrissey. All in favor to deny?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. All right, we've got no miscellaneous reports. We've got one appointment, Christian Winters to Planning Commission. You guys already met Christian. He came up here tonight. Nice guy. He is filling the vacancy left by Councilman Bruns, who is vacating the office because we have a council representative on Planning Commission. It's Councilman Morrissey. So can't have two council members on Planning Commission. So Jacob needed to resign the seat. We needed to fill it. Christian originally had applied to the library board, but when this came up, he contacted me and said I would just as soon do the Planning Commission. So, any questions about him? Is he still here? No? Okay. Yes, sir.
I think that Councilman Palladino made an excellent point at the last meeting 2 weeks ago when a appointment like this came in front of council. And he said, and I agree 100%, that it's very difficult to vote in favor of somebody that you've never met, you don't know anything about them.
Sure.
I agree with that. I'm sure that Mr. Winter is a wonderful person. It was nice to actually see him here tonight to introduce himself. But I don't think just Mr. Winter, but personally, in other boards and things that I have served on over the years, I think that if you're going to appoint somebody, they should not only be here to introduce themselves, but I think that the board itself, council, should have an opportunity to ask this person questions. All I have about him is what's in front of me. I see he's been a resident of the city of Hillsdale for just 3 months, even though he said he moved to the county in 2018, according to what I have, and I can't ask him because he's not here, that he's been here in the city since July of 2024. In my humble opinion, 3 months as a city resident to then be put on a planning commission doesn't seem like he's been here long enough to understand the city. Now, I also understand from years of experience with city councils that appointments made by the mayor normally just get thrown through, and I've disagreed with every single one of them. And I don't know if that brings about the good old boy thing from years ago, because, and I mean, the national government does it the same too. You pick all your friends and colleagues to run all these different things. I just think that we should have an opportunity to vet the guy or gal or whoever, and just, so I've got questions. Maybe Mr. Wolfram has questions. Maybe the mayor has questions about this person before we just unilaterally vote on anybody.
Yeah, no, I think that's completely reasonable. If council doesn't if they wanna explore this more, if they wanna handle it some other way, then reject his appointment. I'm not gonna have my feelings hurt. Like I said, this was pretty quick appointment. Councilman Bruns resigned, and this guy put his application forward, said, hey, I'd like to do this, and send it to me, and I said, sure, I'll get you on the next agenda, and yeah, honestly, you know, once upon a time, believe it or not, Councilman Flynn, we didn't even have the biographies in the council packet. When I got on council, you didn't even get the biographies, you just got a name. But you know what? You guys, believe me, handle appointments the way that council is comfortable doing them. When I was a council member, I voted no on plenty of appointments. And you know, most of my appointments I think have gone through on council, but it's not anything personal, you know. I think you made a good point, so council either makes a motion and approves it, or they reject it, so.
And Mr. Mayor, is there a way, that brings up a question in my mind, then, is there a way that moving forward, regardless of how we vote on Mr. Winter tonight, does it take something to put in the charter? Does it take our agreement to actually say that, hey, if a mayoral appointment, or the mayor's gonna make an appointment, that they must come and give the council an opportunity to vet them, or is that something we can't do?
I think if council all decided to make that a rule, I mean, I think the charter is pretty loose. It's just mayoral with council approval. So, you know, do you have something to add, Dave?
We do have council rules of procedure, and I think they're in your new binders as well. That could be something that's ONG looks at or discusses it with the council, or looks at that specific item and then brings something to the council.
Yeah.
So there's options.
When the kid Sessions was mayor, all of his appointments had to go through ONG before they came to council, but that was something that council forced onto him because, a safeguard or whatever. But you know, I've always enjoyed the confidence of my council, which I appreciated. But you guys handle appointments the way you want. If you guys want to make a motion and approve this guy's appointment, I'm fine with that. If you guys want to reject it and be like, hey, this is your last meeting, I don't think you should be making an appointment on your last meeting, I wouldn't be offended by that either. So, Councilman Morrissey?
Yeah, as far as you're making an appointment, you're still the mayor, so it's your prerogative to make an appointment.
Well, I put it on the agenda, so.
So I have no objection to that. I am a little bit uncomfortable. I know Mr. Winter a little bit in the sense that he does teach adult Bible school at the church that I attend, and so I can certainly think that he's a man of integrity, and he's been involved with Hillsdale College, and so he's an intelligent guy. I share your uneasiness, Councilman, about the short time that he spent, particularly for a planning commission position. I think it would be better to have someone also of intelligence and integrity who's lived here, who's actually been a resident. It's different to be a teacher or a student here than it is to be a renter or a homeowner here 24/7. So I'm kind of reluctant on this one, and but I think he should be involved in some area, maybe his original ambition. But at any rate, I am reluctant to support it.
Nope, totally fair. Councilman Wolfram?
How many people do we get that apply for these positions?
They go to Katie, and then either Katie, you keep them in a folder somewhere. So some positions, like say library board, I mean, all of a sudden everybody wanted to serve on that about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and there's probably a stack like this of people that have an application in for library board. Cemetery board, sometimes I'm digging to try to find somebody to serve when it comes about. Planning commission, hot one. TIFA is the other one that people usually are like, I want to serve on TIFA. But planning commission hasn't been in the past, but as Councilman Morrissey knows, it's a very important board but the process I've always had that is they submit their applications either to Katie and she shares them with me, or they submit them to me and then I share them with Katie.
So how do people know these positions are open?
Vacancies are posted online on the city webpage.
So if I would, but we don't really advertise that we're looking for someone?
I mean, we have before. We've put out posts online. We've put on Facebook that we need people for board of review right now. If somebody knows, we need 2 or 3 people to serve on board of review. So if somebody knows candidates that are interested, that's a very important board. Yeah, we've tried very hard to fill boards and commissions seats, and only in the past year and a half has there been a excess of interest in it. So, like, my tenure here, it's hard to fill council seats, let alone boards and committees. But Katie, you've got a folder somewhere that's full of board and committee applications, and yep, this guy reached out to me personally, and I will tell you, when somebody reaches out to me personally and doesn't just submit it to the clerk, but gets a hold of me and says, I'm interested in serving on that board, that a lot of times I'll make that person prerogative, because I feel like the initiative means they really want to contribute. So, but yeah, seriously guys, however you guys want to handle it, I'm fine with it.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Got a motion on the floor from Councilman Palladino, seconded by Councilman Bruns to approve Christian Winters to the Planning Commission. All in favor? Any opposed? No. Well, we'll do a roll call, but I think the nays have it.
Okay, Councilperson Soha. Yes. Stuchel. Bruns.
Yes.
Wolfram. Mayor Stockford.
Yes.
Councilperson Morrissey. Palladino.
Yes.
Bentley.
Yes.
Flynn.
No.
So the ayes have it. So thank you.
6, yes.
Thank you, Christian, for your willingness to serve. Okay, we'll move into general public comment. During this time, the podium will be open. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Please limit your trips to one of the podium, and you may speak on whatever your heart so desires. The podium is now open.
Joseph Hendy, 181 Area Street. I heard you guys talking about the charter tonight, and Mr. Palladino, I congratulate you, and the rest of you, our new council, Mr. Flynn, Mr. Burns, and Mr. Bentley. Mr. Palladino, I'd like you to pay attention to Chapter 13.4, Chapter 5.1, and Chapter 4.5, which are all part of our city charter, and 4.5 was violated tonight. Now, I realize that the elections are taking longer to certify, but again, I've been to this podium, I don't know how many times, to say either follow the charter or change it. Mr. Thompson claims it cost too much to change it. I've just heard discussions here tonight that you guys were saying, oh, we can, change it. Let's follow the charter or change it. It's our Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Podium's still open.
Here are a couple things here. One is, Mr. Palladino always talks about stuff going in front of committees before they come to council, but yet you didn't vote that way right now. I'm just saying, you go one way and then you go the other. Dr. Morrissey, I know you talked about him, Mr. Winters being in the church and everything. I'm not sure that's a good thing anymore, the way the Catholic Church is going and some of the other people. That doesn't really justify somebody. It's like the 700 Club years ago. I mean, just because you're into religion and stuff doesn't mean you're necessarily that good a person. Mr. Saw talked about ordinances and, you know, this tent ordinance or camping ordinance. Well, there's also ordinance about parking downtown, which doesn't get taken care of. I mean, it takes all those parking, and they actually talked a while ago about doing away with the overnight parking permit, which is revenue for the city. Then also the bed and breakfast, which is next door to where you live, offers camping hookup, which is camping, in their advertising for that bed and breakfast. So it's right next door to you also that they're offering camping, so, thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Any more public comment?
So I just wanted to thank Missy and Penny both for the comments that they've made on the organizations that they have. I wanted to point out that they do not compete with one another. They are two hands on one body, and they serve two different purposes, and we can't do, without either one of them. We've got people that do not wish to abide by the rules, the drug and alcohol rules that Missy has. Maybe they can't, won't, or they're just not ready. They still deserve a place to sleep at night and a warm meal. But when they are ready, we need a transitional living placement where they have an address so that they can get their birth certificates and their social security cards and their state ID so that they can get a job and they can get an apartment. And that's what Missy's providing there. So we have a need for both. So, and I also wanted to point out, Missy didn't say that, she's been doing this financially all on her own for a year and a half now. And it's coming as a huge expense without support from the city, and I hope that changes and that she does get the support. And I'd like to point out that if you can be concerned about airplanes being protected from snow, how much more concern should we show for human beings being protected from snow after January 28th? Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Any more public comment?
My name is Karen Hill, and I'm in Ward 3, and I've served on the library board for many years. I'm also a very regular patron, a volunteer. In fact, I worked at a craft period today, and also a donor. We have an open seat on our library board, and I ask for your careful consideration when approving a new recommendation brought to the City Council. As I'm sure you all remember, in the last few years, we have gone through several library directors, and there's been a lot of controversy about the right to read. During the height of the controversy, multiple individuals, as you mentioned, applied and jumped in with a point of view on either side of extremes. I'm asking that you consider someone that is more neutral and is truly a patron and cares about our library and doesn't have a personal, strong agenda either way. We have one person that has applied, and she has stood up at a well-attended public meeting and called a board member evil. This same woman brought forth most, if not all, of our book challenges. She also requested a private meeting with Jessica Spangler, our previous director, and at that meeting she threatened her to do the right thing or else. At the next board meeting, we asked for that to be in the minutes, that our director was threatened by a patron and a community member. Book challenges, it's everyone's right to bring forth the book challenge, but you cross the line when you challenge a director and personally threaten her. We consider the threat very strongly, and several board members did not want it in our minutes. We asked Stephanie, who was present at the meeting, if she felt if the threat was very real versus felt threatened. And she emphatically agreed it was a threat. And that is in our minutes from April 13th, 2023, and it's in our board packets, and it should be in the city. Strangely, this woman, the request was that Jessica, then at the next board meeting, Jessica requested not to rule on a book challenge because she felt threatened personally and professionally. The board agreed that we would bring the challenge, if the challenge was brought to us, we would take responsibility as a board rather than her as an individual, since she felt threatened. Since then, she resigned, and the woman in question never brought the book challenge back to the group. She continues to attend our board meeting, neglecting to sign in even when asked to do so. And yet, if this person's name was brought to you, she's a regular patron and she comes to our board meetings. My point is, I ask you, I'm not gonna mention the name, but if you would like to reach out individually, please do so. I don't want to defame anyone publicly, but I'm just gonna say, please consider the person that you're gonna nominate for the next board position, that someone who cares about our library. They don't have a strong agenda in any way. They're a patron, they work well with others to balance out our board so it doesn't represent one thing, and they show people the respect they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Any more public comment?
Missy Jordan again, Hillsdale Community Thrift. If I follow the closing time that I have to kick everybody out of the program come January, my question to you will be, I guess more or less maybe to council and public safety, do we walk down here? I mean, where do you want these 23 people to go? I get it, I completely understand, I am not in disagreement with the violations that have been done there. I chose humanity over laws and rules, which I do believe that is what God wants us to do. And we house animals. Now we're gonna house planes. I'll never forget a foreign exchange student told me they were so surprised that we had houses for our cars. So that's why I chose the humanitarian approach. So with that humanitarian approach, what do you suggest, since this is the ordinance that's gonna happen, where do you want these people to go? Because I got an infant, I got 2 minor children, and now Penny said that she can accommodate 50, but she doesn't have her bunk beds yet. And so the thing about it is, this is in 6 weeks, and this is the coldest month of the year, which I find it interesting. I'm sure all of you didn't even know this, but I got this in the mail, and November is National Homelessness Awareness Month. How ironic, right? But hey, you brought it to light, and here we are. Like I said, I'm not gonna put my feet in the mud. I'm not gonna give you guys a hard time. Of course I want transitional housing and I wanna do it the right way. But what do you want me to do with these people? Because I understand that you can stick the book to me, you can find me, you can do all kinds of stuff to me, and I understand that. And I don't wanna fight with you. But I need a solution from the city, because I created a solution from the ordinance, right? It worked out perfectly. We got them off the trails. You had a place to send them. Yes, it was temporary. Yes, I've tried to raise money. Yes, I've tried to do all kinds of things. I tried to buy another building, and then I was outbid and everything else. But the point of the matter is I need to know as a city where you want me to take these people. Because I don't know where to take them, and who's liable? If you force me to remove them, and this is probably a question for Tom, if you force me to remove these people, who's liable? What happens if they get hurt? Is it my liability or is it your liability? I'm just asking. I just want what's safe for people. Thank you.
Thank you, Missy.
So Shannon Gaynor, I wanted to let you guys know I'm not against the airport. I'm against the airport being our priority for our town. That's what I'm against. I was here when the lady gave the talk about how the airports help communities, but she didn't give any specific numbers on how our airport helped Hillsdale. And I even asked her later, and she did not have any specific things for Hillsdale. I'd like to find out, so we're giving this guy, he's gonna spend $50,000 to upgrade the hangar doors on the hangar he is using. Did we ever get any estimates from anybody to find out what the hangar doors actually cost for that one and the other ones? But we just lost $4,800 in revenue for him to fix up the airport hangar he's using, the one he previously wanted to buy for $75,000, but then didn't want to buy it because he didn't want to be outbid by somebody else. On the fuel, if you look at, when you guys are looking over the budget, I'd like you to look at page 127. We make no revenue from the airport. No local contributions, no charges for services. We don't even know what they pay in fuel. I have looked on all the budgets, If I buy fuel for $5 a gallon and I sell it for $6 a gallon, I've made $1 a gallon. How much are we actually making in fuel? I can't find it on the budgets. I've looked at each monthly budget, I've looked at the audit. It doesn't show what we're spending for fuel and what we're making for fuel. We don't charge anything at the airport. They can use the terminal for free. We make no revenue. We have the hangars, and now you're telling me the new tug will put it in a hangar that we said hangars were already rented out. So there must be other hangars out there. Do the people pay to park their plane there for a couple days? If I go to the airport, I have to pay to park my car. We don't charge for that. So their plane can stay for free for hours, their plane can stay for free for days. We do charge if it goes into a hangar, which we don't have a hangar because the hangars, supposedly, the 18 are all rented out. Also, on the churches, to defend the churches, I'd like to know what the ladies would like our churches to do, because unless we know what you want from us and what they want from you, how do I supply something I don't know what you need? You know, do they want money? Do they want housing? Do they want food? What do they want so we can give a need? Just like you guys, what do they want from you so you know what you can give them? I think that's it. I mean, I understand you need a tug, but again, it's another free service that you're offering.
Thank you, Shannon. Any more public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the podium and we'll move into the city manager's report. David.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few things to mention here tonight. We do have the Christmas train that will be arriving in Hillsdale this Wednesday. It'll be here between 5:30 and 7 this Wednesday. So it's been on the radio and some different advertisement is also on the city website. Information regarding that. I believe it stays overnight and they have some events planned for that. Also, the library is having their free family movie night this Wednesday at 5:50 with a 5:15 start for the movie Elemental by Disney. Typically, it's the third Wednesday of every month, and they just ask that children under 9 are accompanied by an adult, and there is no fee for this. Also, I think we've all kind of figured out to use the microphones when you are talking, because people can't hear you in the audience or sometimes around the table. So just for new council members, if you want to speak, press your button, the lights will come on and it will be amplified. And for any new council members or old, you'll see the booklet or the binders that the city clerk had put together for you, various information from the Michigan Municipal League, the council rules of procedure, some training that the Michigan League puts on for newly elected members or council members. So feel free to look through that. If you have any questions, you can reach out to the city clerk or myself, and we'd be happy to answer them for you. And in general, if anyone on council has any questions about the budget, about anything that's going on in the city, feel free to reach out. If we don't have an immediate answer, we will get you an answer. And happy to help explain things and how they operate in the city. Just some comments in regards to the airport. The airport is a complicated operation that has stipulations as set by the federal government from us taking the money to actually put in the airport and to improve the airport. So it is a business and is now being operated like a business with the idea of generating enough revenue to cover itself. The monies, as it was asked about how did the monies come about to pay for the city's share of the airport terminal. Those monies were saved up over, I think, probably 6 or 7 years, by increasing the revenue. In the past, that has been paid for strictly out of the city's monies the city put in. The city had historically kicked into the airport $120,000 to $150,000 a year. With the increased revenue and the condition of the facilities, we were able to save that money in the airport capital improvement line item of the budget to pay for our share of these improvements. And the idea is to make the airport self-sufficient in the next year or two. Could be sooner. Once the terminal is done, we know how much that's gonna cost us. The repairs to the T-hangars, as Ginger mentioned, they're in desperate need of repairs. We saw this opportunity, whether it was a sale or whether it was a lease, to improve one of our hangars, to help with that process. Do folks use the airport for free? Sure. But we've changed the fee structure of that airport, and Ginger routinely reviews fuel cost. She reviews the hangar rents, and you guys gotta keep in mind that Ginger has been a pilot, and she was a professional pilot her entire career. She grew up at that airport. She knows when it was built, her family was part of it, and she knows how to operate an airport. And she brings in a ton of goodwill in the form of grants and revenue to help us accomplish this. So that being said, it is not just a simple process of we give a little is taken for the airport. It is something that actually you have to dive into and understand how it's funded. It's not just funded with city money, it's funded with federal money, it's funded with state money, and all those things have to come together in a certain way to expand the taxiways, take care of the runway, put in the apron. It's just not that simple, but happy to answer any questions on that when the time is right. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Dave. Any questions for Dave tonight? These are questions for Dave. Okay, we'll move on to council comment. Any council comment? Councilman Soha.
We were accused of not following the charter by violating section 4.5, and I just want to read it. It says, "The mayor and council shall at its first meeting following each regular city election, and after the newly elected members take office, elect one of its members to serve as mayor pro tem for a term expiring at the first council meeting following the next regular city election. Each election shall be by written ballot and by majority vote of the mayor and members of the council in office at the time. In the event of absence or disability of both mayor and mayor pro tem, the council may designate another of its members to serve as acting mayor during such absence or disability." I fail to see how we didn't follow the charter tonight. So I just wanted to make that.
I know. Councilman Palladino.
We're supposed to swear them in at the first Monday after, so 6 days after the election. We weren't able to do that because of state election law. What is it? They have to receive ballots for 4 days or something, 6 days, thank you. So we couldn't certify it, so the choice was violate Michigan election law, not a good choice, or work around the charter by, technically that meeting was called Monday, so yeah, they weren't sworn in, it's a violation of the charter. So I totally agree, we should rewrite it, as well as 50 other provisions in the charter that are no longer consistent with state law, or just absurd, based on how we operate. But yeah, that was the trade-off.
No, we did the best we could with it. Councilman Stuchel.
Yes, I would just like to wish you and your family the best of luck. It's been a pleasure serving with you.
Thank you, Councilman
I think
Stuchel.
you've left the city in better shape than when you stepped in,
Thank you.
and you've had great leadership, so we appreciate it, and best of luck.
Thank you. That means a lot, Councilman Stuchel. I appreciate it. Any more council comment? Councilman Flynn?
Just 3 things real quick. I will try to be quick. Maybe 4. First of all, I agree with Mr. Mackey about the microphone use. I may not have been in attendance at many of the meetings since I threw my hat in the ring back in the spring, but I watched them all on YouTube. And everybody uses the microphone tremendously when they're stating their opinion or asking questions and stuff. But when it comes to the actual vote, when Katie says, you ask for a roll call vote, nobody uses their microphone. And it's very difficult for those watching on YouTube to hear who voted yes or no, because Katie will say councilman this, councilman that. They're all sitting back here with their microphone off and they're looking at the mayor, and you can't tell if they voted yes or no. And then Katie says the motion passed 7-2. Well, who voted the 7? Who voted the 2? So I would like to ask that when we vote, moving forward on a roll call vote, that we use the microphone, just so that those in the back, those on YouTube, can actually hear who voted yes and who voted no. I'd also like to say real quick that I've talked with several people in the Westwood Drive, Highland, Glendale area. I know the vast majority of council is not a fan of special assessment districts. I don't think anybody is. But those people are real happy that they have nice, smooth roads. And I'm not saying one leads to the other, but until we figure out a way to bypass special assessment districts, these people, I had one woman come up to me and say, Bob, I've lived up there over 30 years. This is the first time I haven't hit a bump. So I know special assessment districts suck. And until we can go through the budget and do all those things that we need to do to find money for the streets, and the people probably don't like paying them either, but they're very happy with the job. And she was also, one of the other people that I talked to, I just want to say real quick, was very happy with the communications from the city, from the construction people, from everybody involved in that project. They were given constant updates. They either had, if they'd sent an email or left a message on the phone, they got messages back. They'd actually go out and talk to the people who were bulldozing their driveway, and they would get answers. So I just want to salute everybody on that project for keeping the citizens up there up to date and informed on what was going on instead of keeping them in the dark. And I hope that continues forward with whatever project, that we can be transparent, we can keep people up to date and informed on what's going on so that they're not guessing and then going on YouTube saying, I heard this and I heard that. Finally, I too want to echo Mr. Stuchel on your job, Mr. Mayor, over the past 12 years, whether it was a city council person or mayor. You've taken a lot of crap from a lot of people, which isn't warranted. People can disagree, but they don't have to be mean and evil. And I think that unfortunately social media and stuff like that has led to some of that. I just want to thank you for your 12 years of service, and hopefully moving forward you'll be proud of this current council and councils to come in what we can do for the city.
Thank you, Councilman Flynn. That means a lot. Thank you. Dave, did you have something?
I just wanted to add a comment to something Bob had indicated about the Westwood project. We are happy to report that all the paving is done in the project, and so there are some final items to be done and some won't occur till next spring. But we were really on a tight timeline because typically the asphalt plants close down around mid-November. They finished the paving this past Friday on the 15th, mid-November. And I just want to thank everyone who was involved with that, Parish Excavating, Frank Engel, Kristen Bauer, Jason Blake, Jeff Geyer. That was a big project for us, $5.5 million, water, sewer, roads, curb, gutter, sidewalk, or driveway approaches. Very big project for the community. They started in the spring and got it done on time. And so just want to thank all of them for that effort.
Thank you, Dave. Any more council comment? Councilman Wolford.
I'd like to agree with what Councilman Flynn said. I'd like to thank you for your service. I know that it took a lot of time for you, and that you did a fine job. And also, the communication was excellent. We live up on Westwood where this all came by, and Kristen would come by and actually be there, talk to people. If you had somebody that was on, you know, one of the parish's machinery, they would talk to you if you had a question. So my wife and I really appreciated that, and so you can thank them for us.
That's awesome. Thank you, Councilman Wolfram. Any more council comment? Katie? These are mine. When I was elected, I gave the ones that were up here to Mayor Sessions. So I'm taking these with me. So don't forget to get another one, and I'm taking this with me too. Alright? Alright, motion to adjourn? Motion on the floor from Councilman Stuchel, seconded by Councilman Flynn. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. This meeting's adjourned.